Hello and welcome to my chats with dads in business, where I speak to busy dads who are running or leading in business about how they manage their energy and their focus whilst they're spinning so many plates. If you're watching live, you've got any questions or comments, please let us know or say hi in the comments and we'll try and pick those up. And I'm delighted to welcome today's awesome guest, wellness champion and Team GB bodybuilder, Daz Stephens. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good morning, Paul. Great to catch up. And hi, everyone. Yeah, my name's Daz. I'm a health and wellbeing practitioner, nutrition coach like Paul, and fitness trainer, and all-round individual that just tries to make people be awesome individuals every day. So that's what it's all about, Paul, just like yourself, buddy.
Yeah, fab. And just for a little tiny bit of backstory, I actually met Daz. I sat next to him at the BTN Academy conference in 2019, and I was inspired straight away. And I remember as well, all the coaches had beards, and Daz had a beard, and I didn't have a beard at that time. And I thought, I think I need a beard.
Yes, it's got to grow somewhere, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So this is all your fault.
Yeah,
so,
2019. Yeah, crazy. Yes.
It's, and and obviously we've spoken on and off through that time, and I've always been inspired by what you're up to. So it's great to have you on. So thanks for your time. And this is a bit unusual because often I speak to dads who are not working in the health space, and we sort of touch on things that they've done to try and turn things around for themselves or digging into tips. So it's interesting to talk to someone like yourself. So I wonder if we can start off maybe, why you kind of got into this space. What was it behind that journey that led you to set up Kinetic Energy, Health and Wellbeing, and to do this sort of work?
Well, for me, fitness and health has been a massive part of my life. I'm ex-military, 23 years as a police officer. And so, all the way through, staying fit, staying strong, staying healthy has always been something that's enabled me to just get up each day and keep going, I think, Paul. And that passion just was then like, you know what, I need to do this. I want to share that passion. I want to help others because I know the difference it can really make. And having worked during my time towards the end as a police officer with others and their health, it makes a difference. And the big thing for me is it's not about smashing the whole picture all the time. It's the little things, and it's the little things so often that we very easily miss. And that's where it came from, Paul, and from the time at that BTN Academy in 2019, it was like a bit of a calling. It was like, third time around, in my 50s, what is going to happen next? And something that's going to give me some greater meaning in the mature years of my life, because, it's something that we can all change, now, and it's never too late. And so hence the passion was born to do that for others.
Yeah, no, I love that. And to your point as well, that it is never too late. So my sort of career was a little bit different. I had a previous life and a previous career in the IT world, and got into a terrible state of fitness and a terrible state of health, physical and mental health. And so my journey was turning that around for myself, and really just going back to basics with it, because I didn't really know what I was doing at that time. And then having made a bit of a change and started to feel a bit different and feel better, that's when I then got into looking at nutrition and the science behind it, and learn, and getting the coaching qualification, and then doing all that work there. So I've sort of lived in the shoes of the people who want to help as well a little bit. And I think that's same for me. It's sort of, that's what fires me up, is to sort of say to people, look, I kind of know where you've been and know what you're feeling and thinking, and there is actually, like, at the end of the tunnel, there is a way out of this. And it's like it's looking at those small parts rather than just going big picture, big goal, and it's big overwhelm. It's breaking it down into the small little pieces that you can bite size, get some momentum, get some motivation, feel some progress, feel good, and feel results coming, and then just build upon that.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, and so we were talking again just sort of off air beforehand, and I work with my clients on my 4 pillars, and I guess you've got a similar kind of setup.
Yeah,
Look at nutrition, movement, which obviously encompasses exercise as well, recovery and sleep, and then your mind. And for me, mindset is kind of about your attitude and your organization towards things and how
yeah.
you sort of prep for life. So, what are your kind of pillars? What have you got a similar sort of thing that you look at, and what do you break your pillars down into?
I mean, exactly the same as you. Those are the pillars that I look at. But do you know what? As a nutritional coach, and you know, I think really it's what we put into our system, what we put into the body, and what we eat. Because I think from everything of you, like the energy you've got, your brain health, gut health, your immune system, everything is supported by the fuel you put into your body. And this, we know it can energize you or it can drain you. And so I think if we can tick that box more often than not, then everything else falls into place. It's great to have the best training program in the world, but if you're not fueling your body, eating to allow the body to recover, to grow, to repair, all that hard work and effort really goes by the wayside. And training comes and goes. We have fits and starts, there's fads, there's all sorts of things, there's injuries, there's the weather, you know there's so much can take you off track in regards to daily movement and fitness. But I'm 100% convinced if you can nail healthy eating habits 80% of the time, everything else truly drops into place. And I think it's really underestimated how impactful having a good, wholesome diet is. And a lot of the time with the businesses I work with and clients that I work with, I refer to that gut feeling. So many of us know when things are not right. If we're stressed, if we're under pressure, what's the first thing that tells us something's not right? It's your gut, isn't it? It's like we get butterflies in the stomach. It can make us feel sick. And I think, if we get that right, start eating healthy and feel it from the inside, all of a sudden, it's a game changer. Really is.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And yeah, you're 100% right, of course. And I think a lot of people, from what I've seen and the conversation I have and the experience I've had with coaching individuals, is that you sort of take your food intake for granted a little bit. It's just a thing that happens, and not a lot of people actually think about what it is they're preparing and consuming and what it's actually doing, what the connections are.
Yeah.
And sadly, our food environment at the moment is not really conducive to optimal health. And the cheapest, most affordable foods are often the ones that are the most void of natural
Yes.
nutrients and fiber. And so we've got
Yeah.
this little battle going on as well, especially with the economic climate as it is. So I think bringing that thought to forethought to the front of your mind. And one of the tips I give to clients that I work with is not necessary to get bogged down in the finite details like the number of calories and things like that in foods. It's more about thinking food quality. What's the
Yes.
best possible quality of food and variety of foods I can include in my diet? Like you said, most of the time, that's going to lead to feeling better.
It is. Yeah. And you mentioned a word just there. You said optimal. And that's very much how I look at it. Quite often, our diets are just adequate, but that's not enough. To get through each day, to be the best dad, be the best husband, friend, business associate, whatever it is, you've got to be at your best. And sometimes that best does waver. So it is about being optimal. It's not 5 a day, it should be 10 a day. 2 liters of water, you should be smashing it. People say to me, is it all right to drink diet sodas? And I say, well, it is all right, but are you drinking 2 liters of water first off? That's the optimal. And it's all great to have these things in, but if we're not performing at our best, it's just going to be a daily trudge, isn't it? And so often, like you've already said, stress, cravings, the labels we put on the foods that we eat, we're taking them in for the wrong reason. And that's
Yeah.
why, from a health point of view, what else can I do that's going to assist that process of like not being my best? Can I get outdoors? Can I move more? Can I sleep better? So much can be added rather than, right, I'm stressed, I'm sticking my head in the fridge and I'm going to eat whatever's in there.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. Like I sort of call it self-soothing, and it's usually when it comes to food, it's
Yes,
not going to serve us very well. It's going to give
it is.
us a sugar high and then a crash, or it's just going to give us excess calories that we don't really need, that our body's just going to be storing away for later. Often, like you said a bit earlier, it leaves you feeling sluggish or a bit sick feeling, and so yeah, and it's a bit of a weird oxymoron, really, because you're sort of going to soothe yourself, but you're just making yourself worse
Yes,
when
you are.
you're doing that kind of behavior.
I think it's that, as we grow up as kids, there's always a label as a treat, isn't there?
Yeah.
And food is the treat. You finished
Yeah.
your meal, you have dessert, it's a treat. A snack
Yeah.
between meals, it's always a treat. But actually, yes, keep that label if you wish to do so, but make that treat a healthier option. And it just takes a little bit of mindfulness. And this is what we said at the start of our catch up, the smallest of things. If you can change that more often than not, you're on a winner. And then you'll do other things as well. So it is very powerful. People
Yeah.
just think, oh, what's the point in doing that one thing? Actually, doing that one thing is the biggest bonus all the time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think it's an important point as well, because obviously I'm talking to dads quite a lot. So we're looking at that family dynamic, and the language and the behaviors that you use around food is going to set the tone for those
Yes.
young people as they grow up, and they're going to build habits. And I recently had this conversation. I did a talk at a conference, which was university student accommodation providers coming together, talking about how we can improve. And it's always about buildings and safety and mental health. So I went there to sort of shout a bit about how students eat when they turn up to student accommodation. And some of the conversations we were having there, I was trying to make the point that when children are young, their metabolism is extremely high. So they can kind of get away with eating excess calories because their body's utilizing them to grow, and their heart rate's higher, everything's moving quicker. But that comes down sharply towards when they're sort of 20, it starts to bottom out to where you're going to be as an adult. And so if you're building habits in this phase when it doesn't really matter, those habits are then going to stick when your BMR bottoms out, and then you're going to start eating in a surplus all the time. And that's when we're going to, we've got a bit of an epidemic kind of happening now where a lot more people are getting into adult life obese and a little bit out of shape. And it's partly because of that food environment, but also it's those habits that have been built over time when they're young, I think.
You're right. Habits do change and shape you forever. And I talk a lot about, don't, label them as bad. Think about creating a positive habit, create a positive habit that you can focus on. And do you know what? All of a sudden, those little bad habits, they just melt away because you start to feel that passion with creating such positive well-being. And it's only the smallest positive habit that allows you to move forward. You don't worry about trying to stop something. You don't worry about trying to break something. You don't worry about, I shouldn't do that, or I can't do that. The focus can be, I can do that. I can do more of that. What a great thing I can do, and that's the big thing about breaking those, or seemingly break those bad habits, because they're always there because they've been there for so long.
Yeah. And you've alluded to this already in our conversation about trying to be on it, trying to be more optimal more of the time. So I adopt a similar rule to you: 75%, 80% of the time thinking about those choices, and that allows you room for the fun stuff, for the stuff that might be typically labeled as bad or unhealthy. And so I think that's just getting that balance right as well. And it makes me think to that sort of 1%, being 1% better every day. So it's similar to you sort of saying, have one small thing that you do, one step that you take, and just take it every day, and it compounds.
It does.
And the same as the bad habits compound, so do the good ones. So have more of the good ones and fewer of the bad ones, and you're probably going in the right direction.
Definitely. It's what James Clear says in his book, Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
Stack them. Stack those positive habits. You keep stacking the positives slowly over time. They will just crush anything that you think is something that's not being, the best that you can be. Create them, stack them. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I want to ask you then about, obviously you do some bodybuilding competition, and that, for anyone that doesn't really understand that world, to get in shape to stand on a stage and be judged as a bodybuilder, it takes a serious amount of work and consistency. So when you're kind of in season or coming into that season, what are the kind of changes that you're making? What are you doing in order to get yourself ready for that kind of situation?
So actually that's now. So I'm competing in August. So I'm about 12 weeks into prep. So the big thing will be nutrition. My training, it varies as I go through various cycles. But the biggest thing now is the macronutrients. So it's my proteins, fats, and carbs being spot on every single day. I use apps to track my food. It keeps me in check. And, I'm currently on about 2,200 calories a day, but that is very, very structured. And that is the only way that I can just strip the body fat and maintain muscle mass, because I'm not the biggest guy in the world. But, I'll get on stage super lean, having, worked extremely hard for 24 weeks to drop. 2023, when I was out in the world, I was about a 3.5% body fat. And yes, you do lose muscle mass to a certain extent, but, my training was intense, my protein, so we come back to optimal. I was pushing 3 grams of protein per kilo of muscle mass a day. So I would be on anything up to about 180 grams of protein, just to make sure that hard muscle I gained out of season stayed for me to get in shape. And, because ultimately, Paul, once you step on stage, it's a lonely place. The judges, the lights, dodgy tan, smallest pair of pants you can find. You can't hide, and it's down to you. So, that's where my focus and sort of discipline comes into play, is because if I get up there and I, look like a bag of spuds, it's down to me. And that's the bottom line. If it's a team sport, you could probably hide somewhere, but up on stage, and I suppose that's why I do it. It's like that feeling of like trying to be my best version. And even at my age, I am 56, I will still make amazing changes and progression. So from 2023 to this year, I've put on weight, and I'm hoping to come in on stage around about 62 kilos, and even in better shape as I get older. So, and that's where it's at, mate. My competition is other guys over 50, so they'll be doing exactly the same. And some people do know, but I'm having ballet lessons.
Okay.
I've been having ballet lessons, one-to-one ballet lessons with a lady called Julie Felix. And honestly, it's taken my appreciation for other arts out of the park, because after that first ballet lesson, Paul, I had to take 2 days off from training because I was beaten. But it just shows you strength, poise. And if it gives me 1%, which we've already mentioned, if it gives me that 1% on stage and the judges are looking across that lineup and there's points in it, if I move with grace, poise, I hit those poses with a bit of flow, a bit of arc, as I've been shown, and it wins, it's all worth it. And you know what? you just got to step out your comfort zone, because until you do so, you don't know. I mean,
and you won't change. You won't change either, will you? If you don't step outside of what you know, you won't change.
No. And when I went into that first ballet lesson, I didn't have a clue what to expect. But by hell, when I walked out, mate, I knew that my body was like, I mean, I'm sure she pulled my arms and legs off and stuck them back on again, because it was like I just sat in my van for 5 minutes and collected my thoughts, mate, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just, sometimes you've got to do something to find what you really want to find.
Yeah.
And that goes for everything, even your health. Until you try it, you can't say, oh, I don't like it.
No, 100%. Yeah. And I think, you've done the right thing there, because that might give you the edge, because it's a natural art form. Your movement's going to just look better, isn't it, on the eye? And that could be the thing that gives you the edge when you need it. So
yeah,
that's really good.
I don't know how many other 50-year-old competitors are having ballet lessons, I can tell you that.
Not many, if any, probably.
If it's going to do the job, mate, and I've probably come the other side of that and said, do you know what, it will do the job. And actually, I feel so much better for having done it as well, because there's like muscle parts of my body. I thought, really, why does that ache? Oh, it's because I've been walking around on my toes. It's bizarre. Yes.
Yeah.
But it's like you say, Paul. We want optimal, don't we?
Yeah.
That's what we want. Yeah.
We've got a couple of great questions that have come in, so I'm going to close out there. You've got some fans watching as well, Daz, so lots of comments here. So there's this one from Joanne. So where do you sit with protein powder and other supplements?
Protein powder, what you know yourself, it's a clue in the thing there, isn't it? It is a supplement. If I'm eating wholesome foods, I should be getting enough protein in my diet from what I eat, Joe. And for myself now, protein supplement is key, because I need extra. But first and foremost, if you're hitting egg whites or your Greek yogurt, your lean fish, or your beans and nuts and pulses, if you're hitting those in a good wholesome diet, we don't need it. But if it fits around your environment, your training, if you're away from home, all of those things are ticking boxes that says to me, actually, that's my environment at this moment in time. I need that little bit of extra protein. Go for it. And that's where we are. So and supplements. I mean, I take turmeric, collagen, and those type of things just to help with the body, because I am getting older. But yes, wholesome diet, and then from there on, if it supports your health, then it's not a bad thing at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I echo those sentiments as well. It is a supplement. That's the name of the game. And so ideally you get your needs from whole food sources. And like you said, Daz, there's a lot of protein hidden in things that you might not necessarily think there's protein in. So there's lots of vegetables, obviously, with a range of proteins as well. So, you can hit your fiber and your protein quite significantly with including more veg in your diet.
Definitely.
But and again, depends on your environment and your setup at the time. So I also use protein powder supplements now and again, depending on what's going on, what my timetable's looking like, how things are. But I just want to make sure I'm getting enough protein.
Definitely. I mean, I do it a lot if I'm away from home for the day. Overnight oats, it's that snack, and then I'll always throw in a scoop of protein powder. So I'm just making sure I'm getting my macros. And just because I'm away from the house, I'm out in the van, I'm traveling around Cornwall, visiting businesses, it doesn't say, I've got to nip into Tesco's or the garage. I'm planning and prepping. I'm still making it as optimal as I can.
Yeah.
I see Joe's mentioned magnesium there.
Yeah.
And again, a great supplement that, especially for sleep, prior to going to bed, can help, increase that rest and that meaningful sleep, getting that deep REM sleep that allows the body to recover. Definitely.
Yeah, awesome. And then we've got this one from Jack. So first of all, you're the man, which we all know. That's fine. So yeah, structured with diet, but also trying to feed three little monsters. So yeah, this is kind of what I do a lot of as well, as talking to guys about this. But yeah, it'd be great to get your thoughts on a structured diet.
It is hard work for sure. You know, I'm quite lucky now that my girls have grown up, but as a young dad, it is, you know, trying to get a balance of, like, you know, being consistent with your routine. Definitely, you know, children like routine, and trying to put the same, you know, sort of amount of effort into the routine, same times, same type of foods. Try it, you know, foods that you wouldn't normally try with the kids, even if it's just like blending them down into purees, getting them into the diet. And, you know, as I remember as a dad, you know, when you're in a rush, it's turkey, dinosaurs, and smiley faces into the oven, isn't it? You know, but, you know, if we've got some planning and prepping around it, even a couple of times a week, having meal plans on the wall in the kitchen allows you to know, you know, when you come in from work and you've had a busy day, the last thing you want to do is like increase that stress and think, my God, what are we going to have for tea tonight? So if there's a plan in place, if there's a meal plan on the wall, and if you've shopped for that meal across the week, it works. It does take all that stress away from it. And it's a tick box and says, right, Friday night, it is that. Instead of like coming in the door thinking, you know, everybody's shouting at you, what's for tea? What's for tea? I'm hungry. Because you know what kids are like, Paul, they're hungry all the time.
Yeah, they
You
certainly
know,
are. And not satisfied with the things you're tending to produce as well.
yes. So, you know, and even like, you know, getting in the kitchen on a Friday night and making a homemade pizza with some flatbread or something, get the kids involved in it. Doesn't matter what age they are, let them make a mess in the kitchen. Don't worry about it. You know, get them involved, because that's what they will remember. My kids now still tell me about things that we used to, the mess we've made in the kitchen, making cupcakes and all sorts of stuff and pizzas over the years.
Yeah.
But they do that now. They still do that now. So it does go in. We don't think it does, but it does.
It does, yeah. In the moment, it never feels like it's really working, does it?
Yes,
because you're just in the stress. But yeah, that's great advice. And I've worked with a few dads who've got young kids, and oftentimes there's separate meals being cooked in the house. So, you know, they're making meals for the grown-ups, meals for the middle kids, and then something different for the younger ones as well. And obviously it's easy to just sit here and give advice. But you know, what I would say is try, like Daz has sort of said, is everybody eat the same thing, and don't give a choice, don't give a menu of options. Just say, this is what we're having today, and start tucking yourself, you know. And even if it is, you know, not haute cuisine or something special or looking on a plate, as long as you're hitting your nutrients and getting good quality fuel inside, I think that's the way to go. And I'm a big fan of. Go on.
Also, I was going to say, include the kids in picking the meals.
Yeah.
You know, sit down with them. You know, they're part of the family. You know, what would you like to eat? You know, can we do it so everybody's getting something from it? And it works. It does work. Yeah, it just takes a little bit of time and patience sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I was going to say the same thing. It's about including everybody in that decision making and in the production of the food.
You
know, and maybe try new things that you haven't tried. I mean, I don't like raw tomatoes, and I've made a big old song and dance about it. Every now and again, I use one with my daughter. She's like, try one, you might like it now, because I've kept saying it to her. So every now and again, I have to eat a raw tomato, and it's disgusting. But, you know, I've put it in and give it a go, and just trying to sort of encourage trying
a smile on your face as you do so.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. So I'm going to keep trying it. Maybe one day it's going to, you know, you cook a tomato, I'm all over it. But just the raw tomato doesn't work for me. Awesome. So Jack says thanks, great advice. And then we've got Joanne again. She's making the most of this. So creatine for brain and physical health. This is a great question, and I think we'll have some answers. You go ahead and answer this one.
And do you know what? There's so much more evidence now to say that it's not just for the gym goers and sticking that extra bloody energy and water into your muscle mass. It is about brain health. And studies coming out now that, anything up to 5 to 10 grams a day, twice, 5 in the morning, 5 in the evening, massive, returns for our brain health. And it's not just for the guys either, ladies. Yeah. So whether it's, a plain creatine monohydrate or a flavored one, I was asked the question the other day, creatine gummies or tablets. No, just go straight plain creatine monohydrate, powder form, in a little glass of water a couple of times a day. I use a flavored one, personal choice. But yeah, creatine has got lots of returns. And, we do get some of it in our diet from the meat we eat. But yeah, as a supplement, you look at lots of websites. I think it's one of those supplements, Paul, that's been absolutely hammered in its research, from the early days. I remember using it way back mid-90s when it first came out. But yeah, there's lots of evidence to say that it is a safe health supplement that's going to make really good for you, especially your brain health. It's that, I think there's some link to it and the cognitive returns or something.
Yeah, cognitive, short-term memory. I think there's been some really good research results on it recently.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you, I've had a lot of conversations recently about this. It's the most researched supplement on the planet in terms of the health and fitness world. It's showing nothing but safe results. Yes, it can cause some water retention, but usually that's an initial reaction to it once you start to introduce it to your body. From my conversations I've had, the water retention can affect ladies a little bit more. So you could maybe adjust your dosage a little bit. Maybe 3 grams is enough. But nothing but positive things from it. And if you are in the gym, within a couple of weeks, you will definitely see more reps, more weight on the bar. It just gives you that extra edge because your energy system is just replaced so much quicker. So 100%. Every adult should be including it in their diet, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, good question. And just more love for Daz coming in. I could just keep clicking on these. There's you brought your whole fan club in today.
That's my daughter.
There we go. Awesome.
Oh yes. Yeah, the biggest fan. The biggest fans.
Fan, yeah. Good. And it should be, shouldn't it? That's the way it should be. So there's a couple of questions that I always sort of ask guests that I get on, and this might be a tricky one for you, but I like to ask if there's any sort of one person or one system or a book or a podcast or something that's kind of inspired you or helped you dramatically over the years. You've probably got 20 or more of them. So what's your sort of standout recommendation in terms of
I did think about this, and there's a long list. But he's a friend of ours, Ben Coomber.
Yeah.
And Ben Coomber from the BTN Academy, awesome supplements. It started way back 2016 when I first started listening to his podcasts. I loved everything that he said, the way he talked about it, the way he approached it, his mindset, he's down to earth. And I just love him. I've met him on many occasions, and he's a great guy. And it truly did inspire me to seek out more around the health and well-being, evidence-based, making sure that it just wasn't something we were reading on the internet or some top influencer was sharing. It's got to be evidence-based, and the reason why we do these things, and it's hard-earned efforts that we're putting into it. And so when I did my BTN Academy qualification with him, it was a game changer. And I miss his podcast actually, because I just each day listening to his podcast was like having him in your ear all the time. So it's a big shout out to Ben Coomber and his team, because I think it just sort of said, that's what I need to do, and that's the message we need to share with others, hence the reason why we met each other and we do what we do, because it does sing a lot, definitely.
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah, no, yeah, obviously, 100% echo that. Ben's amazing, and the way he's approached his business, the way he approaches working with his clients, he's got a properly holistic view on the
Yes.
body and optimizing it, and like you said, always evidence backed and science backed information, and he's willing to learn and adjust and change. You know, when he's got his supplement company and he's made adjustments to things there and sort of admitted when he's got things wrong. And you know, I think that is genuinely honest and guy that wants to help as much as possible.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's one of the best.
There's no BS with Ben. You know what I mean?
No.
And you know, my career's behind me. I've got a fairly sensitive BS radar, if I'm honest. And you know, you just don't want to hear the flim flam anymore. You want somebody to say that's how it is, and that's how you can change it. Hence the reason why we connect, and you find the energy from people that actually speak the same words, and that's why Ben's up there. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Joanne said she's not heard of Ben, so she likes Arnie's 7 Tools for Life, which is fantastic as well. So Ben is the awesome human. I think he's starting his podcast up again, isn't he? He's doing some interviews. So
is
the
he?
awesome human. I'll pop a link into the comments when we're finished, Joanne, so you can find him. But we're following and listening to, because yeah, I mean he's all about doing what Daz does, helping people feel more awesome and be more awesome. And I think, you know, there's just super fans in the room here.
I was going to find his book. His book is called, There
we go. How to Live an Awesome Life. Yeah, it's over on my bookshelf over there.
You know, and it's been read so many times. There's so many notes in it. It just covers all of the, like you say, that holistic approach. It's the physical, it's the emotional, it's the nutritional. You know, that's what my Kinetic Energy brand is about. It's the, you know, I've got the 3 circles on my branding. You've got to make sure that you work on all 3 of them, because at the center of it is a sweet spot where you sit. And if you nail it, you know, 1% here, drink more water, emotionally take the time out, all of a sudden you're going to sleep better. And when you sleep better, you've got more energy. You've got more energy, you eat better. It just keeps going around in a circle, Paul. You know that. And it is about creating that refocus like you've got on your branding to you know, find what works for you in your environment.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Awesome, thank you. Look, I've got one eye on the time. We've gone flying through 38 minutes now without even realizing it. So look, I think we're going to have to revisit and have another live conversation in the future, because there's so much more ground to cover. But we'll bring today's to a close. So if people are interested in finding out more about you, if they've not come across you before, what are you working on at the moment? What's the best way to get in touch with you? What are you doing at the moment?
Well, they can find me at kineticwellbeing.co.uk. That's my website. I'm huge on LinkedIn. I do a lot on LinkedIn. So it's just Daz Stephens. And then from there, you'll find Kinetic Energy. So I do split my time 50-50 really between working with clients on a one-to-one basis, but I do work with very, you know, small to medium businesses up to larger businesses. So, you know, whether it's a well-being workshop, drop-in session, a coaching session, a presentation, training day, I travel across Devon and I go up into Cornwall. I travel across Cornwall, travel up into Devon. Still doing work with people like the Devon and Cornwall Police and organisations like that, just to raise awareness of what I can do, what you can do to change your health. And it's a down to earth, you know, friendly approach to it, Paul. So check me out on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. But reach out, email, whatever you want to do. Daz at KineticEnergyNutritionCoach.com, and there we are. You can find me.
Yeah. And I would highly recommend anyone interested in this field to contact Daz. His energy and enthusiasm is really contagious, addictive. His calm approach, no BS, just an awesome person to spend time with. So definitely reach out and talk to Daz. And for myself, at the moment, I've just relocated my gym to a new premises, and I do Dad's only strength and fitness sessions on a Wednesday morning and a Sunday morning in Bristol. And we've got a phenomenal state-of-the-art private gym. So it's just my dad's in the room. 3 hour session, 1 hour sessions on a Sunday, one on a Wednesday morning. Guys from all abilities and all shapes and sizes. We tailor it for you. And it's an awesome community. The guys are incredibly welcoming. We have a really good laugh. We get a good load of work done. And I'll help you with technique and form, and just, everyone's feeling stronger and better. And a lot of the conversations I've had recently is the benefit to their mental health. They're feeling amazing from having connected with different people. There's an outlet for them to talk about just stuff related to them that someone else can either understand or just at least relate to. And it's just a fantastic environment. So if you're in the Bristol area and you want to get back in the gym, but you're not really into the whole big commercial gym thing, then have a little look on that website. All the details are there, and you can come and try your first session for free. You'll get a warm welcome, and you'll leave sweaty and happy. I guarantee it. So there we go. So look, Daz, thank you so much for your time. It's been amazing. We are definitely going to have to do another one of these.
Mate, I'm massive thank you to you. Again, that chance meeting in 2019, we just you never know, and that's why it's about opportunities and engaging with others and just using the energy from those around you. And it's been awesome to catch up, mate. Thank you very much. I much appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Take it easy, guys. Stay awesome. Cheers.